Because like 90% of your day, you'll be going through an old program, and so it's kind of hard to like think your way out of something, but you can change your belief systems, and you can really work with yourself if you're super diligent, if you're meditating every single day, you can change a program and think your way into creating something new.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another solo one-on-one episode of Throwing Tantrums. Today we have Safyra, but not just B-girl Safyra, it's professional Safyra today. This is the most professional I've ever seen her. Because here's the thing with dancers. Most of the time you see them in their sweatiest and they're the most casual, most comfortable because we're wearing sweats, and when we go out or when we see people in their professional attire, it's kind of weird. It's like an entire different identity.
Yeah.
If it's your first time hopping onto this episode, my name is Emro, your host of Throwing Tantrums, also as a director of the company Tantrum, and today we have the amazing Safyra. Take it away. Introduce yourself, a little bit about you, your origin story, how you got into dancing, all that stuff.
Well, hello. Yeah, thank you for hosting this space for us. I'll just tell you where I'm at right now. I'm in my office right now, and this is the space where I do hypnotherapy and I do readings for people. I do clairvoyant energy readings. So that's a huge part of my life, is the whole healing world, and I teach yoga and that whole thing. But it came from a completely different environment, which is why I started off B-girling. When I was in high school, just after high school, I was an athlete most of my life, I played soccer. But then right after high school, I got connected with some martial artists, and then there were these B-boys around, and I started getting interested in breakdancing. And I don't know, when I was younger, I was super athletic and I just wanted to be able to do what all these guys could do. Like, I wanted to be able to stand on my hands. I wanted to be able to flip around, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. So I got really into B-girling when I was, 18. And that was a whole world. I lived back in Cleveland, Ohio. And
Was that where you're from?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I
Respect.
lived there for about 10 years, yeah. That's where I went to high school. And I lived all over, though. I've lived in, New Orleans and LA and San Francisco and New York.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, all over. But yeah, I went to high school in Cleveland, and so there's a huge scene out there. There's a huge hip hop scene and breakdancing scene that's actually small enough to have like a real community. LA has a different type of community.
Well, yeah. What's the difference from your experience? I've never been to all the places I've visited in terms of the breaking community were always cities.
Yeah.
The big cities, like in the East Coast, like New York and all that.
Cleveland is just a smaller community, so everyone knows each other. Like, everyone knows all the B-boys, and there's only a couple spots to train at, and everyone goes to those two spots, all together. And it was a really cool time. But I was also struggling with a lot of stuff when I was younger. I had parents divorced, and I had just not a lot of support within the family, and so I went through a lot of emotional stuff. I had some trauma. I had some just a lot of confusion about my life and where I was going, and that whole breakdancing community and martial arts community kind of took care of me in that time. It was 18 to 20, I was in this total chaos of what am I going to do with my life? And I was, really struggling with some stuff at home. There were some real things that were bothering me that were going on. And I don't know, breakdancing was this total release, freedom space. It was a place where I could go feel really strong and really powerful and stronger than I was feeling at home, and a place where I could blow off a lot of steam, and then just have a super dope community and have a super dope music scene happening as well. Like the music was also really inspiring, and there's multiple things that were happening. There was like the musicians that were around, and there were festivals happening, and there were shows, and then there was the B-boys, and there was a whole community. And the guys used to come over to my house, and we just practiced in the living room. And I think the fact that B-boys came over to my house to practice in my living room really affected my life in a positive way, because things are not happy at home. And so having that support system and a way to blow off steam was life-changing. That was so important for me. I needed breakdancing at that time. I needed it. I needed to feel my strength at that time. And I did. I learned how to stand on my hands and spin on my head and battle B-boys in a cypher. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was really cool to be able to stand up to these guys and, jump in a circle with a whole bunch of guys in a club or something, and then be like super strong and stand up.
Yeah, that's props, dude. Because especially since breaking is very male dominant right now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. There was a small enough community there that I think it was welcomed, to have. There's a couple girls that I was with at that time. It was a lot of fun.
What do you call it? So when you started learning how to break, you said you learned it after when you were taking not capo.
Capoeira, yeah.
Yeah, was it capo?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just made sense, for some reason.
Yeah.
Okay. When was it like an open space? Like, no, actually, I'm gonna be more transition it. What was it like when you first started learning the first movements? Was it easy because of all the athleticism, the martial arts that you were already doing, or was it like struggle bus because like, oh, what the fuck is this?
It was both. Yeah, I mean, I was training capoeira at the same time, and so that's where there was this intersection, and some b-boys would come to the capoeira classes, and then we would go over there, and so when you're training how to lift yourself on the ground and move with your hands on the ground, then it makes it a lot easier to do some of these moves. But there was definitely stuff I could not do, like the strength required that these guys had when they were doing like air flares and stuff like that.
Oh, goddamn.
Oh my God. Like how do you do that? And so there was a huge learning curve. I actually never learned to do air flares, but windmills and things like that, there was a huge learning curve of how to get your body to do these things.
Yeah. So when did you come to LA? What was the decision? Was it like to pursue a dance as a career, or were your family moved here, or is it just a change of scenery?
I actually lived in San Francisco for a really long time. So I've been in the Bay Area had been there for 7 years, and I was dancing up there, and I got involved with some things, came down for a battle in LA, came down for a workshop, came down for a bunch of things, and started to realize that there's a lot more going on in LA. And I had, when you're actually in the Bay Area, there's a lot of judgment towards LA. Everyone in the Bay is like, oh, the industry, oh, Hollywood.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, like I hear similar things. It's like, I don't know, there's like this hatred not maybe hatred, but like this disdain from the Bay to LA. And like, I love the Bay Area. And I don't know if people in LA feel the same, but it's like, what did we do? But I could see.
Yeah, no, it's the industry, and it's also like in the Bay Area is like more organic, and they're like we don't need big business, we don't need the industry, we don't need Hollywood. We're like organically in the arts, and
I could definitely see that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that going on, which is cool because it keeps people in the purity of an art form.
Yeah, the industry. Yeah, I could definitely see that because the industry can make can suck the joy out of dancing. Yeah. I almost like stopped after going to so many like auditions, and I didn't make any of them. So I was at the point where I was like, am I supposed to be doing this? I didn't like the process of auditioning, especially when I didn't have the quote unquote look they're looking for. Yeah. So that's the part where it was like, I'm judged mainly for a look, not necessarily the talent I have. So,
That's why there's this big separation within the Bay and LA.
Yeah. I can mess with that, because the scene up there is dope.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So yeah, after like about the LA, like you said, there was more to do.
Yeah. But I also realized that like people in LA were working a little harder. I realized that there's a lot of people in the industry that are just really, really grinding. There's people, the musicians and dancers that were grinding. Like the more I came to LA, I was like, oh, you're serious. Like, and if there is an element of when things are not for work or your career, that you don't take it as seriously. So there's a lot of part-time dancers in the Bay, and here I was really inspired by the people that were doing it full time and really, really, really doing it. You know? And so I came to LA and I got into this dance scholarship program at Debbie Reynolds.
Ooh, Debbie Reynolds is making an impact, right? Damn. And I've heard so many people like the scholarship program there like impacted so many people.
Yeah, it's a really strong program. I had never done choreography before Debbie Reynolds. Like I had been in a freestyle world of like a house dance in the nightclubs, capoeira, and breakdancing, you know, and that was rough. It was a rude awakening. I was like, oh, like I want to be around some real artists. Well, I got to be around some real artists, and that was rough. So I didn't want to stay in the choreography world after I did the program because I was like, this is like too much. There's just too like the whole style is a different form of dance too. It's like a different, you know, it's a choreography hip hop, which is not breakdancing. It's like just very different. And so
different foundation, different yeah.
So I kind of didn't realize I was getting myself into. I didn't realize I was signing up to learn a new art form, you know. So, but now I have a little bit of both. Now I can do choreography at some level, and I'm also not as focused on breakdancing as I am the yoga and all these other things. It's a business around that and taking off. So now I'm kind of in different worlds, like a little bit of breaking, and then I'm doing some more choreography, and then working with you know. Oh, and I'm belly dancing. Forgot about that. Yeah, I'm also belly dancing.
How'd you get into belly dancing?
Yeah, it's a great question.
It's like one day I'm just on a stage.
It's a great question. I'm like, wait, I missed the first of my own story. Yeah, Bay Area, what was happening? I've had a lot of like trauma and emotional stuff that's happened because of home and family and stuff. And so I think that breakdancing helped me in a particular time of my life where I needed to feel power in my body and to fight. And the other piece of it was feeling comfortable in my own skin and feeling settled and at peace within my body. And I just happened across a belly dancer, and she invited me to her class in San Francisco, and I started going and found this space where it was super feminine. It was a lot more tighter, smaller movements, and space for me to really work within my own body in an internal way. Like breakdancing is very external. It's very like big and strong. And then belly dancing is very internal and like working with smaller muscles and like subtler movements.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it was actually really healing for me. It was an art form that brought me to the other end of the spectrum of like healing.
Yeah, it's almost like you discovered or these parts of you through these art forms. Like I guess one would say the masculine energy from breaking into feminine energy from belly dancing, because they're completely different executions, different types of energy, different types of movement quality.
Yeah.
That's freaking cool, dude. I got chills while you were just telling that story. Because it's really, I don't know, what is intriguing is the discovery of yourself through the art forms or the healing. So
yeah, I mean, these art forms shaped a large part of my personality, you know, because when I was in high school, I was really shy. I was really, really scared to speak. And I was that person that sat in the back of the room that like didn't say anything, you know, and breakdancing forced me like to, you know, push and stand up and be strong. And then the belly dancing really got me to like love myself more.
Wow. This is so cool. I can definitely relate in the sense of high school, like where I was quiet in class, but I was also very angry in a sense. Like, you know, teenage angst and all that shit. But like,
we all have it. Yeah.
and then when I discovered dance, there was like a sense of like confidence. I felt more. I felt like there was a proper release of this angst, so to speak, or this anger, like, because now I was putting all that energy to rehearsals and performing, and then it seemed to calm me down in many places in life.
Yeah, I think the arts are so important because of that. You know, it really feeds the soul.
It really does. It's a shame that I don't know how it is in other counties or in states, if you guys are listening to this in and out of state, but like the fact that a lot of the arts are being cut, it shows like how undervalued it really is, especially for mental health. Especially since there's, I think, there's dance movement therapy now. I think therapy we're involving painting, because it involves you to, in just my theory and speculation, it just involves a different part of your mind, you know, left brain, right brain, because we're so like active and trying to problem solve and all this other stuff. So I kind of want to transition into like yoga, like how you went into that, because there's a whole bunch of this stuff that you covered already. Like, I primarily use yoga as a form of recovery, like, but I feel like I suck at it, but then I don't go to, like, I don't tell anyone I do it, or I prefer doing it solo. But how did you get into yoga, and then how did you start your practice or teaching it?
It came along with the dancing the whole time. There's two kind of major reasons why I used it. One was trauma. Like, I, again, had a lot of stuff going on internally and at home. And when I found yoga, it was a space of healing, and there's breathwork practices that you can do in yoga that will help you to release anxiety and emotions out of your body. And so I started doing those pretty intensely through an organization that worked, you know, on deeper levels of healing and everything. And actually, like, the breathwork through yoga completely healed my trauma. Like, I would have like panic attacks and anxiety and things like that. And the breath work, it really just calmed my nervous system and like got everything to release out of my body. So there was, you know, there was the breakdancing. I was in a fight or flight response, you know, like I was really like traumatized. I was scared. There was lots of things going on, and I was fighting through breakdancing. But I also found yoga as this place of actually re-regulating my nervous system. Like, the breath work actually does the healing, and it helped me to calm my nervous system and release out of that fight or flight response. And I think I've lost a little bit of the drive to breakdance, because at the time I had that fight or flight response going on that like pushed me, and I was like, I'm gonna win, I'm gonna do this, and I just don't have that anymore. Like, thing was going on inside of me, like I healed it, so I don't have that like need to fight.
That chip on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Yo, I feel similar. I did, like, I meditated for a year straight after I got out of jail. And it was when I had to, like, I was in the courts, like, they told me 52 weeks anger management, 52 weeks, all this stuff. And then I knew, like, a lot of it was, and I already did meditation, but casually, because I was mindful, like, how the benefits of it. But that year of just meditating every day straight was life-changing. Yeah. Because, like, I'm a believer of, like, the whole breath controls the mind, mind controls the body, or something like that. But, like, of how powerful the breath is. Yeah. So when you saying that is just powerful, and it brought new meaning to to the phrase, "Dude, take a breath." Because people would tell me that when I would get pissed. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm breathing." But, you know, the proper breathing way, and then implementing that, and then when I get triggered, even now, it's like the simple pause, breathe, is just like, and so you can respond instead of react, is so powerful. And I'm totally with you about not having the drive to battle anymore, because I'm like, I feel like I've chilled out. I mean, and I'm like, but I mean, because I battled Tabasco like earlier this year, and it's probably because I had a couple of drinks. The fire came back real hard. I'm like I was not gonna lose that battle, but I mean, I don't actively seek out to try to prove myself or want to win. I just want to enjoy the art now. I just want to enjoy the art of movement. But yeah, I mean, that's part of the reason I also enjoy yoga. It's part for the recovery, but it's the involvement of the breathing and being super mindful of yourself. And I was doing it this morning for recovery. It's how when we're super present, especially with some of these poses where I can't do it, like there's a lot of inner turmoil or storm happening, but I have to remain calm in the middle of it. I'm like, damn, this is like, every time I feel that, I was like, this is a metaphor that people need to go through. like knowing how to be calm in the middle of when there's an external storm versus, internal. Yeah.
I mean, the breath work really, really helps. And it does calm the nervous system, and I've found a lot of healing in it. And I've seen a lot of my clients now heal, like people really can heal from sickness and illnesses through down regulating the nervous system, because when the nervous system is heightened, all the other systems shut off because there's some type of problem. And so a lot of like the digestive system, the circulatory system, they will slow down. So if you can down regulate the nervous system through all these breathing practices, the other stuff turns back on, the circulatory system and the musculoskeletal system, which won't heal I had a lot of injuries too, so I had to learn how to calm my nervous system and allow these things to heal, because the other systems will get turned off if we're in a heightened stress response.
That makes a lot of sense. Because if you're in a constant fight or flight kind of mode, I mean, it can make sense why people are experiencing some sort of anxiety and all that stuff.
But then also disease, like the anxiety then will lead to physical illness, because some of these systems are actually turning off, like so that you can be in an intensive stress response and be on alert. Like that's what the body needs to do. Is if the nervous system is heightened and you're on alert and you're on a stress response all the time, other things fall by the wayside. So the body says, oh, well, we don't need digestion right now. Oh, well, we don't need I don't know what other systems. We don't need some of the blood flow to the lower limbs, right? Or whatever. It just slows down, and then the nervous system is causing a lot of other things to go on, like heightened thought and anxiety and all of this stuff. But when all of that calms down, the other systems will balance out, and if a person has gotten to the point of disease, like the body will just start to heal itself. And so I've seen through the breath work and yoga practices, people actually healing from illnesses that they don't really know why they healed. They're just like, oh, it's gone now.
Do you think some things that people go through are just psychosomatic because it's like
absolutely.
But their body is holding on to a certain thing?
Yeah, but it's also like it will actually increase your heart rate. So it's psychosomatic, but it's real. Like someone's having an issue with their, in their relationship that's always putting them in a stress response. They're always, and they're increasing their blood pressure, they're increasing their heart rate, and so that does actually affect you physically. You're always getting into an argument with your partner, and you're always stressed out, and you're not, you're always, then your blood might not be flowing correctly. You might have high blood pressure, and then that actually will turn into physical illness.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense because my mom's dealing with my grandma right now who has dementia, and it's gotten worse. And then my grandma sometimes forgets who she is, or she just who my mom is, and she's just like kind of verbally attacking it, so it's getting hard on my mom, so I can see why. And part of that was, I think I shared with you guys, the whole company, that something happened with my mom, so she had to be hospitalized because of high blood pressure. So I can, because of like the stress, it being constantly there, aside from like I'm pretty sure for those of you listening, I mean, there's also like the food she eats as well that can affect it. But I think a lot of factors in that, a lot of inputs can affect us as human beings. And a lot of a lot of which are subconscious decisions, like based off our beliefs and all that other stuff. We just like, just subconsciously make a choice, or we just tolerate it instead of change it.
Yeah. And, something like a yoga practice or a breathwork practice, even if you had only 20 minutes a day of a breathwork practice as part of your life, you're constantly like bringing yourself back to zero, and you're constantly down-regulating the nervous system, which will keep you sane enough to be able to handle whatever is happening.
Yeah, like when I was meditating for a year straight, I only did it as simple as like 5-10 minutes max, because I had to like, especially us working, we're like go. The 5-10 minutes, and this is what I did with my previous company, Family Business, or Dad Competitive Crew. We used to family business. I was about to say feminine business. We used to meditate for 5 minutes before every rehearsal.
Oh.
Like it was a must. That was for everyone to come back to baseline.
Yeah.
To not bring the stress of school, work, relationship shit, all this stuff, to come back to like baseline, to calm down. 5 minutes to yourself, and then boom. And I would hear a lot from a lot of them. It was like, we're meditating today, right? Like, I'm looking forward to this meditation, because it's like probably the only me time that they had that day.
Yeah.
So, and then it's something I do intend for us in Temper Tantrum to do as well. Like
that'd be great.
Because it's a good, like, simple, like, just breathing, like even a simple, like, self-care tool. Doesn't require a lot. Just requires time and patience with yourself. And a lot of people just, especially within our society, it's super like, I ain't got time for that. I got to do this. I got to do X, Y, Z. But now we're in the Corona zone. Like, people have got plenty of time, and people are kind of like trying to figure out what to do with themselves. Many not doing so well. Some others have discovered old hobbies or bettering themselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what we used to do. It was like, even my past students who I used to teach when they were kids, like 13 through 16, I had them start meditating at that age. And then I was on a podcast with them recently, 2 weeks ago or last week. It's still one of the tools that they use today. So it's like,
yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. I mean, it's so good to have that in your toolbox.
Yeah. So I was talking about Corona. How has it impacted your life, schedule, everything?
Oh my God. How is it not? I mean, damn. This year I was supposed to travel to the Middle East. I was hoping to do a workshop in New York, a yoga workshop. And this is all yoga stuff to go teach. And I was hoping to be able to teach in Bali, and not to mention our dance company and rehearsals and shows.
We had a lot.
We had a lot of things, like I think we had all the way up to the San Francisco Hip Hop Dance Festival.
Yeah.
Right? And that's going to be very soon, that time.
I think that the last time submissions are supposed to be this month or something.
Oh, crazy. Yeah, I mean, my whole life fell apart. So, like, basically.
Yeah, 2020.
I mean, I lost a lot of clients. I was going to people's homes to teach yoga, and I, lost all my clients and lost classes I was teaching in different gyms and things like that. So I just had to restructure everything and put it all online. So now I'm teaching classes online, and I'm seeing all my clients online and trying to dance online now. I mean, it's so weird to me to take a dance class on a video, but I don't know what else to do. I'm like, I need to dance. So I just turn on these different YouTube videos and Instagram things.
Nice. Like what was your, I guess, step by step, how did you start adjusting from like in real life classes to online classes? Because I think that's especially as a instructor, I feel like when all these places are shut down, it takes a huge toll So what did you do to start transitioning? Did you just instantly go on Zoom? Did you just put videos out first? Did you start emailing people?
I started actually one-on-one, having personal clients and then saying, hey, did you want to try a yoga class online? And then I would get one person in a video and just kind of set up in my living room and got this, I already had screens. So I put these screens up behind my yoga mat and got the whole setup going, and then just got a momentum with it. And I was like, oh, well, I can do this. Like, I could make all of my classes online. And then I started just telling more people, and it was all really organic. Like, a couple people will come to this thing, a couple people will come to that thing. Moving on up productions, let me teach yoga through there. In the beginning of COVID, they put all of their classes online. And so I got a few people from that. And then
nice.
I think a month and a half, maybe 2 months into COVID, I was like, all right, we need this solid schedule, and it needs to be emailed out to everyone, and it needs to be like on my Instagram. And so then I put the schedule together and got everyone. It's not like the biggest hit in the world. I have like 3 students a class.
But still, what I love is the transition and the adaptability. Mm-hmm. Like, if one thing that's really been like, I'm a huge fan of the human spirit. Like, I acknowledge that we're capable of great good, but we also suck sometimes. But like, what I've been loving is hearing how people have adapted to the quote unquote new normal. Like, I think I shared this in the check-in meeting we did this past Sunday, like how Rosie went from really bummed, unsure what to do, frustrated at home, to now she's actively training online, like with other classes. Mm-hmm. How Diego shifted one perspective about some things. You guys can listen to the group podcast, and then shifted now. So I'm being very vague with it because it's more, I want him to really share it, and I don't want to be the third person to misinterpret it. Mm. So, but yeah, like the shift, and it's been, I think, really powerful, because it's like, it shows that as humans, throw us a situation, we can adapt. But you can, on the news and social media, we see also the inability to adapt. Mm-hmm. AKA my freedoms.
Yeah. I mean, what's happening with the protests and all this stuff is a lot. I guess there's just going to be a lot of changes in the next year or so. Lots of changes all around.
Yeah. So that's one thing that really blew me away, because we met through Moving On Up Productions on the road, doing the Rose Parade, and I thought you were just like, oh, another B girl. And then when you start working with us in Tantrum, and I'm looking for a proper photo for you for the company roster, I find that you're like, in my eyes at least, that you do all these really badass things in terms of traveling to teach. Like, and for me, that's kind of like on the back end, to be honest, like to be able to travel and still teach. So how did you start getting, I'd say, asked or get these opportunities to start teaching worldwide?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's so funny to hear from the dance perspective, because I do feel like there's this 2 different lives that I have, and so people in the dance world don't know, what I'm doing over here, and then people over here don't know that, like, I'm a B girl, like a hip hop dancer. Like, what's that?
Yeah, because I think you said you're gonna miss a few rehearsals because you're gonna be teaching yoga in Bali.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? And then for a while, I was telling everyone in Tantrum, you were out saving the world, planting trees.
Yeah. I think I screenshotted that email. I thought it was so funny.
I was like, whoa, this is, like, I didn't expect that. So that's why it was so fascinating. So I was like, yeah, anyways, go ahead.
So sometimes I save trees around the world.
I'd say you're saving people through helping them with breath work.
Yeah, actually. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I've done so many yoga trainings along the way, and again, organically, like it just organically happened. Like a teacher would ask me to assist something that I took this training the year before, and then the next year they asked me to assist it. And it was always in between things I was doing in San Francisco. So it was just like, living and working as a dancer in San Francisco and performing and stuff. And then I would get asked to go assist this thing, and I would just leave town. And so they were kind of separate worlds from the beginning. But yeah, I mean, I just have different teachers around that have supported me in doing the work and teaching yoga and breath work and a little bit of qigong as well. And it turned into, because every time you do a workshop, there's a ton of people there, and so it's turned into clients. And I got deeper into the healing work, and I got a license to be a therapist, and so I started getting clients from these different workshops, and it's built on its own, and it's built to the level of, I mean, I never would have ever guessed that I'd be doing this type of work, but working with women in the Middle East healing trauma, and working with hypnotherapy and yoga and breath work, and really, I mean, really helping with some things that I just never thought I would be doing. Like, these women are amazing, and they're dealing with just like an interesting time period right now where there's enough media around the world and information and international universities that the women are all hip to what's going on in the rest of the world and have been educated in London or the US or whatever, and then come back home to a super tight traditional Muslim structure that's kind of locking them into the old stuff. And so they're really looking for ways to live on their own and be independent and be healed of whatever has been going on for them. And so it's just this great time in the Middle East right now where women are just actively healing themselves. They're actively seeking yoga. They're actively seeking hypnotherapy and how to change, because you know, the way that you've been brought up gets programmed into your subconscious, and you can do breath work and hypnotherapy and change your subconscious and repattern your subconscious. And so they're all trying to do that work and trying to get themselves out of some situations that haven't been so deep for them. So, yeah.
That's so interesting, because like as you were talking and you were talking about helping with the healing work, it's so interesting how you were looking at dance as a form of healing and healing yourself, that you yourself have become the healer for others.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, all areas. I guess the dance has been really healing for me, and the yoga and energy work and the therapy. Yeah.
Like, let's go and talk about hypnotherapy real quick, because I know we've talked about this, and I know so many people probably are skeptical about it, but I think hypnosis works. I've been hypnotized. The closest training I've been to hypnotherapy was NLP training.
Okay.
So, yeah, neurolinguistic. It's just like, I've just used it. I've used it for sales tactics.
What people are using NLP for.
Yeah, but I've also used it like for help shift in perspectives and certain things. Because I'd say the general population undervalue is their power of words, and how it can be the thing that kind of trains them to believe a certain thing or perspective, which is why, like, when I see people say like they can't do something, that's a simple like way of telling the subconscious, or like, you know, self-fulfilling prophecy of like, yeah, you're right, you can't do it because you're saying you can't do it. You know?
Yeah.
Might as well quit, drop out, quit your job. But yeah, tell me a little bit more about, let's go with how you got into the hypnotherapy. First off, what is hypnotherapy for the people who don't know what it is? Because I'm pretty sure there's some misconceptions about that. And then how you got into it.
So, yeah, hypnotherapy is working directly with the subconscious and basically reprogramming your brain. So there's therapy today where people are talking about their issues, and in hypnotherapy you care less about the issue and more about when it first got stuck in the subconscious. And so you'll go back to, you want to regress someone, and quite often, and there's many different techniques, but if you want to take someone into hypnosis, what you're doing is you're turning off the front brain. So the logic mind kind of controls things and says, like, this is what I believe, and this is what I'm doing, and this is my final decision. And it can block information from coming in, you know, because it's got a strong filter to it. But if you turn it off and you go into a state of trance, and you go into a state where front brain or the logic brain isn't blocking, then you can input information into the subconscious. And what we'll do is we'll look for a time in a person's life when the belief, say you have a belief about money. Our family is poor and we only make over a certain amount of money every year, and this is how we live, and this is a lifestyle I know, and I made this decision when I was 5 because I saw my dad and blah, blah, blah. Well, that belief system is in there, right? And you can be doing something in your life and you can be working your ass off for something in the world, and you still have that belief system in there. So you're just going to constantly go back to that, right? Because that's your reference point of how the world works, you know? So you go in and you turn off the conscious mind, and the person's in like a light trance, and then you restructure the memory around that belief, and you get them believing that they have always known and always felt what it feels like to have a lot of money and have this certain lifestyle or whatever it is that they're asking about, whatever it is they want. And you input that suggestion, you call it a positive suggestion, you input that suggestion into their subconscious, and then their brain and body just starts believing that. It's like, oh, well, this is how the world works. I always make a ton of money. I always have like a lot of things.
Yeah, I think that's one thing. I think it's just a very, I think the power of suggestion. One thing for people who, I'd say the layman, when people are going to, when you hear trance, it's not like, you know, you see a fucking clock swinging in front of you or all that stuff. Like people can get into trances on the daily. Like if you've ever listened to music so good or like lost in thought while you're driving and you miss your exit, that is a trance already. It is not mystical. It is shit that happens every day. Hypnotherapists and all that stuff, or people who can do hypnosis, or even mentalists, are just people who know how to use these, who are aware of these tools and use it. Like it's almost like you're dancing. You see people who can break. They're showing that you can do these things with your body, because they're aware of their body. Same thing with hypnotherapists. They know the power of the words and how it can be used to shift the mind. The regular person doesn't know it because, and then therefore they don't understand it. So, which creates a whole mysticism about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very logical. Like when you really get into it, it's not very mystical.
Yeah, well,
you know, it's like
my disappointment.
I mean, people think of like, oh, this thing, like you're gonna get hypnotized, but yeah, I mean, we go into trance when we watch a movie, you know, and that suggestion of whatever's in that movie is going into your subconscious, you know, it's happening all the time, you know. So you can, if you learn this stuff, you can control your own mind. Like you can positively suggest to your own mind, and you can know when you're in trance and how to take yourself out of trance, and how to input some piece of information into your own brain, you know, and how you can kind of manipulate yourself.
Yeah, like you're talking about beliefs, like the common ones are like, oh, I'll never lose weight, or all men are this, all women are this, you know, and that can come from even at a young age. I feel like much of it is from a young age, which is so like why it's so vital, which is why I'm like, even while you were talking about that, like the whole money thing, in my mind, I'm like, how am I raising my son right to have the proper belief system? But there's only so much I can do, because then some way he's gonna have something he needs to work on.
Oh yeah.
So that's one thing that's out of my control, but I'm just doing my best so he doesn't become a repeat of the past, of like, you know, the whole thing of like, you know, this, I guess the quote unquote sins of our fathers or something, that they don't treat the way the grandfather treated the son, and then just continues the endless cycle. So for me, I want to be the end of that cycle. So check in with what he's saying. You know, the words that are coming out of his mouth are his belief system, especially for a child. Like you can tell exactly what's going on in their subconscious, and you can really work with it when they're younger. It's easier. Yeah, and then when you were talking about the whole youth thing, it reminded me of something that I read in a parenting book. Why adults are the way they are it's because they got stuck in a particular level of development that they never got out of, which is why we're seeing some adults throw tantrums like toddlers. because they probably stopped receiving us, like in the book I read, they stopped receiving a level of love to help them develop out of it.
Yeah, that, and sometimes we have experiences that are so strong that that's what our memory goes back to. Like we have that, you got into a car accident when you were younger. It was a big, strong experience and feeling, and it can be associated with certain belief systems. And there's just weird things that we pick up that we hold on to our entire life. Like if you were with your dad in the car when you were 8 and you got into a car accident, your 8-year-old self probably created a meaning about love with your dad because of that car accident. And because in that moment, let's say you guys got into an argument right before there was a car accident. The car accident was so strong in your memory that it all got lumped together and all got locked into your subconscious that dad doesn't love me, because it was a strong event. You know, like there was this really strong moment that you remember for the rest of your life, and that is associated with dad doesn't love me because we just got into this argument. You know, there's weird stuff that people kind of piece together.
The human mind is wild because it makes connections. It's a connection making machine. Yeah, and I think that's like, at least for me, and since you and I took a similar program called MITT, but like since I started doing that, I think there's a lot more people who are becoming aware of the subconscious and how important it is for the self work. I still think there's a lot more left, but we see it in the language, in my opinion, in social media today. Like before, I think the next level of human evolution isn't like physical, but it's all the mental awareness, the evolution of the mind. So because man, the subconscious is like, I don't know who said it, but the subconscious is really the operating system, right?
It's the operating system. Yeah, I mean, and you can really create things from thought alone. Like you can really, if you're working with it correctly, and I think a lot of people are not working with it correctly. You know, people are
talking about the secret.
Yeah, that kind of stuff, and like trying to do positive thinking and stuff like that. Because like 90% of your day, you'll be going through an old program. You know, and so it's kind of hard to like think your way out of something, but you can change your belief systems, and you can really work with yourself if you're super diligent, if you're meditating every single day. You know, you can change a program and think your way into creating something new.
Yeah, I agree. It's really takes time. Like if the operating system is like, you know, I'll never lose weight, you know, then that kind of feeds into the subconscious thinking of like, I'm just gonna eat whatever. But to make an improvement takes conscious effort because it's not easy. You know, like so like for me, it was a lot of it was really trying to control my anger. So you know, I couldn't just be like, I'm gonna think to be less angry. You know, it's like it's preparing myself, like doing that daily practice of meditation, because when that situation comes, I'll be more prepared for it. You know, you don't get ready when the situation comes, you get ready before it happens. So
part of that is if you were meditating every day, you were changing your system. You were actually changing the operating system, you know, so that when another trigger came, you probably were actually less triggered.
Yeah, that's so true. Like even now, like there's so many situations I imagine that I experienced this year that I know that have triggered me, and I always remember what I did in the past. And it was like, it's so hard because I don't know if it's just me or not, but like I could feel the old way wanting to be like to go back into it, but like in my head I'm like, we watched this movie before. Let's do something else.
I compare it to like going on a hike when there's a trail, you know, and everyone's been walking up this one trail, and now it's a beaten path, and so it's just like it would be logical to follow this trail, you know, and so you just do. but if maybe there's a better way to get to the top of this mountain, right? So maybe it's over here and nobody has walked on that trail. So you're going to have to walk on this trail and create the pathway. And if you do it enough times, you'll create an actual pathway that's going to be the faster route to get to the top of this mountain. But if you don't do it repeatedly and enough times to actually like create a pathway, you know, then it's not going to create, you're not going to be able to see it in the ground, you know, like there's not going to be an actual groove in the ground where you could hike up, you know, but you'll just go back to the pathway that's like beaten down, you know, so you can see this pathway, obviously this works, you know, but it takes time. If you keep walking that other path, eventually then it's laid out and you can see it and it's strong enough that you will automatically go on that path.
Yeah, so it's like, again, just like being deliberately making the choice.
Yeah.
And so it takes a lot of, I'd say, emotional intelligence, like to be aware and self-awareness to catch yourself in that, and the like when you're triggered, I think I have to give a lot of credit to, I'd say, my introduction to emotional intelligence to MITT with the thing that we both did. Like, and those of you who don't know what MITT is, it's a leadership training program. I would say, in short, because you definitely learn a lot from it. I originally, and it's a leadership course, but it's the way I thought about it was at first it would help me get to the next level of my career, you know, because I was feeling like I was as a technical director for an animation studio. So I was like, cool, what's next? All this stuff.
Oh, you didn't know.
So yeah, because I wanted more, like, but I felt like, because I was getting paid decently, but I felt like that void, so to speak. So, but for me, it was more like, instead of reaching out, it was more like it became the mirror, so to speak. Like it was a huge mirror to be like, to reflect and see where I need the work and how I show up for other people.
Yeah, I mean, once you start breaking down, and it's all about your belief systems. You start breaking down certain belief systems, like which MITT forces you to do.
It's like I would say it's the Marine Corps of emotional intelligence and leadership.
Yes, Marine Corps. Yes.
It's no joke.
It's like, are you ready to go there? But yeah, they really force you to break it down, and then you start to think about different things to do, different ways of living.
Okay, so I want to go back into like work and life and everything. We really talked about like the subconscious, and I want to switch back into work life. Like, how do you balance, I say, work and life, now that work-life balance, so to speak, now that it's all at home? For me, like, my work is here, and it's hard to leave, because, you know, regular people at the office, they leave work, it stays at work. You know what I mean?
Well, I actually, because I work with the subconscious, I know how to trigger myself into doing certain things, and so I wanted to keep my office. Like, this office here is the space for me to work, and I knew that going into this lockdown, all systems were going to be thrown off, and so I kept coming to my office, and I've been coming to my office like this whole time, because, well, it's an isolated office, so I'm, you know, still social distance, but coming here, definitely, like, I can focus here, like, this is the place of work, and it has kept me in the zone and kept me, you know, continuing to create and produce things I need to be working on. And home. And so home, I've made my dance and yoga studio. So I've created like this little schedule of, I teach yoga in the morning in my living room, and I come to the office and I work, and I go home and I dance in the living room at night, you know? And so it's like kind of trying to create spaces where I do different things. So I'll be lazy. I'll just be at home and like sit around and not do anything.
Yeah, I feel you. Like, having a lazy day is something I'm trying to implement at least like once a month or once a week, because, you know, like it's so easy to be caught in like trying to get more, to do more, to try to get more, but sometimes, like, you know, one step back, 10 steps forward kind of stuff. This just came up into my mind. When you're working with a lot of clients in terms of hypnotherapy and that healing work, it's therapy. So I'm assuming that you're also taking on a lot of the stuff that they share, like the emotional baggage, so to speak. Like I would assume that feels heavy. I don't know. I might just be making this whole scenario up in my head, but like.
No, I think that a lot of healers do that. I think that a lot of people do that, and I think they haven't worked through their own shit. Like, that's why a lot of people are, like, taking on things and feeling bad, hearing all these stories. I don't know. I feel in service to people, and I feel really, really happy that I can help someone. And I always feel better after doing sessions, even like the hard ones. People dealt with rape and things and, traumas and massive debt or, things that are really big. The fact that I can go in and support that makes me feel good. So.
Wow, that's badass, man.
I also have a dance practice, like after I'm done with all this stuff, I want to go dance. Like, I go to the dance studio. Oh, well, I used to.
Yeah. Did you go out with us that one time? Like, yeah, it's just nice to go out and just release the energy. Mm-hmm. Like, I miss one of the events I really miss, and it was shut down before Corona happened, is the floor. Miss that. And I don't know if you went out with us whenever we went to the Federal.
Yeah.
Like, there's just that energy of other people I miss. Yeah. I can't wait until this is all done. Wear a mask, people. Come on. We can do this. I asked this question a lot to much mature guests, because I interviewed Rosie yesterday, and she's 23, so she can't answer. But like, what would you say to your 16-year-old self?
Oh. Gosh, I mean, I was a different person when I was 16.
Right? I was a punker.
Yeah. I was a fighter. Yeah, what would I say? Just trust yourself. I would say trust yourself, and you know what I would say is, I would say to my younger self who was struggling with what am I going to do with my life, like, trust dance more. I wish I could have really trusted the path of dance and known that it could be my healing mechanism, because I think I could have done a lot more with it, so I think I would tell my younger self about dance.
That's dope. Yeah. That's badass. For anyone who's like curious to do what you're doing, like in becoming a healer, like, how would they get started? Because it's not, go to school, become a doctor.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just, now that I'm getting all my social media stuff up, I just last night put up free 15-minute consultations on my Instagram. So I would say book a consultation and I can talk to you about it.
I will put that in the link description.
Get yourself around people that are doing it. Yeah, I mean, get yourself around people. I'm teaching classes every day. I'm teaching yoga and qigong classes every day of the week. Just get yourself around the people that are doing healings, energy work, hypnotherapy, teaching yoga and trauma healing. I mean, there's so many different modalities out there. And there's a lot of people out there doing the work that are especially in LA. I mean, LA has just so many people in the yoga world doing this work, and there's a whole community around it. There's there's like people that live in the woods that, work regular jobs in LA, and there's people that live by the beach and, are working for tech companies that are super involved in yoga and healing. And so there's a whole world in LA of people that are doing this.
Venice Beach is like having its own, it has its own tech area.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. And those people are interesting. Like, they're in the tech world and the healing world. Doing a lot with the healing arts.
So what do you think are the important characteristics or qualities a person needs to have to do healing?
First things about healing is, the first thing really is that most people come to healing work because they needed to heal themselves. So do the work on yourself. Like, that's the most important thing, is if you have the capacity do healing work on yourself, to sit for a year and meditate, to go to yoga class every day, to get healing sessions from energy healers or shaman or yogis, you have the capacity to work on yourself, then you have the capacity to work on somebody else, So what does it take? It takes you having the patience and ability to sit with yourself and reflect and look at yourself. If you can actually look at yourself and see uncomfortable truths about yourself, well, then you can change them, and then you can sit and be that for somebody else. You have to do the work on yourself.
That reminds me of my favorite Blaise Pascal quote. All of man's troubles stem from man's inability to sit in a room by himself alone. So I'll put it in the description, but something like that. It's Blaise Pascal. But yeah, I love that because people are quick to numb the challenges that they face, or they avoid looking within, which is they just distract themselves with the external. Like the whole famous, like, I'm gonna do this, and and the whole one finger out, four fingers, three fingers, whatever, pointing back. Like, people are quick to blame versus looking within.
It's uncomfortable, and we have an ego, and the ego protects us from pain. So the ego says, I'm fine. I don't need to work on myself. I don't need to change. I don't need help, right? But it's protecting the vulnerable piece of you that's in grief or sadness or anger or trauma, like there's something is protecting. So the ego is just doing its job, and most people are listening to the ego. Most people are saying, no, I'll be fine. I'm going to deny everything that's happening over here. I'm not going to deal with it. I'm not going to look at it. I'm going to go drink or do this or, explode on my friends or whatever. It's when you have the ability to sit through that and sit with yourself and say, okay, I'm going to look at my pain. I'm going to look at my whatever.
Yeah.
And deal with it. Well, then you have freedom, because it's not that hard once you actually do it. It's just the ego just doesn't want to do it.
It's like the whole what you resist persists thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's my tattoo. Like, it says, ego is the enemy. Because, like, it was like that whole year, it was like I'd say the first month was a lot of it was sitting with a lot of the stuff I lost after jail. Like, right after I got out of jail, I was evicted. And that simultaneously, I was allowed to see my kid.
You weren't allowed to?
No.
Oh, no.
Because somehow Child Protective Services got involved, and they convinced my son's mom to put a restraining order on me for a short time. So
wow.
Yeah, and then while we were just trying to figure it out, and the whole situation just got really out of hand. That could have been resolved, but I think it was necessary to. I'd say, like, there's this whole thing that I reminded myself when I was in my jail cells, like, I chose this, I just wasn't aware of it. Like, because I could easily have pointed the finger at, I don't know, my mom, my neighbors, the police, whatever, all this stuff, but, like, I am there. So I somehow made this decision, and a lot of it was, like, hints of, like, my I would say episodes of anger, like, not like rage, but like when I would be triggered, when I would be short with people, when I would be impatient. It was like the whole, I think Oprah said it, if life comes at you to whisper at first, then it all comes knocking. Like, when I feel like the universe was trying to teach me before, but it's like, all right, you're not listening. So it's like, this is, I didn't want to have to do this, but you're going to have to learn the hard way. So in a sense, was like, one of the shittiest moments I experienced was one of the greatest gifts I got. So
well, also, you probably didn't numb yourself out to that moment. You probably faced it.
Yeah.
So you got the lesson. You got to move forward from it rather than letting it life.
Yeah, it was rough. Like, then just meditating in my jail cell helped. I started there.
Good.
It was like, because, like, I'm just there by myself in my jail cell, and I'm like, I have nothing to do. There's a Bible. I can work out. I can meditate. I can read. So I needed to like control my running thoughts somehow. So meditation has always been a tool. So I really needed it then and there. And then I needed to feel like I can get out of it. Like, so I really started reading the Bible. I'm not a religious guy, but it was nice to have something to give me hope that I can become better. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. I mean, a lot of the stuff, in my opinion, is really like, yeah, I'm going to touch on something that you mentioned earlier, but a lot of it is the self-work or even self-mastery. Like, I think one of my favorite quotes, and it comes from like different people. I think they said it in The Art of War. I know it's in the Bible. It's like self-mastery or self-control is much more powerful than controlling 1,000 armies, an army of 1,000 or whatever like that. Mm-hmm. Because, if you can control your emotions in any storm, if you can control yourself, like, and when I say controlling your emotions, that doesn't mean like pushing it aside, which is a common, I think, misconception from people. So yeah,
it is the hardest thing, when you can actually really deal with yourself and sit still and sit in your shit and face it and then deal with it and move forward in love and openness and connection to the world. That makes you a stronger person, but a lot of people will go to war over their traumas, I think that Hitler is a great example of that. He had a lot of trauma from childhood. He had a lot of stuff, and if you read any stories about him, you'll read about things that, he went through when he was younger, along with like heartbreak, and they just really shaped him, and he never dealt with his stuff, and so he's very powerful in his ego, Right.
Yeah, one thing I love that you said earlier was like, a lot of people try to get their power from the ego, but I think a lot of the power really is in the vulnerability. Mm-hmm. It's because it's probably one of the most scariest things to do, mm-hmm. but the most releasing and most powerful thing. It's almost like freestyling in a cipher in a sense. Yeah. It's like it's scary because all eyes are on you watching, mm-hmm. but when you do it, it's such a release. And same.
I would compare that definitely to like freestyle dancing versus choreography. Like there's a little bit more ego in the choreography thing, I think, because it's like, how can I achieve this goal and and match what's going on in front of me, because there's some ego projection of I want to look like that, versus choreographers, the choreographer themselves may be in their actual vulnerability and artistry, but like for sure a freestyler is like a freestyle dancer is in their artistry and their vulnerability in their creation, and that takes a lot more courage.
Yeah, because it's
than to repeat something and try and make yourself look good, in a choreography, not to like say about, I'm not the best choreography dancer in the world, but I just think that freestyle space is a really vulnerable space of creation where stuff will come out of you, and you let it, then it's actually healing.
Yeah, I can agree in that, like when I've freestyled and I let go in a sense, and it takes a couple rounds for I'd say the judging mind to just let go. Mm-hmm. Even then it's hard. I feel like it's very elusive, but I start doing movements and moves that I normally wouldn't do when I just let go, which is very different. And when choreography, there's structure and you can feel freedom in a sense where you feel confident and you fully understand the choreography, that you're not thinking about it so much. Mm-hmm. But it's very different when you have total freedom and control of your movement, mm-hmm. and you're just, I'd say, speaking from the soul through your dance.
Yeah.
So, and both I think are great. Like the way I view with it is choreography would be like a structured day and a freestyle would be a relaxed day. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite quotes from the Groovaloos is sometimes life can't be choreographed, sometimes you gotta freestyle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we're reaching like an hour and a half. So, I'm gonna do some quick rapid fire questions. By the way, did David text or anything?
Oh,
wow, we
no.
went from dance to just like talking about healing.
Yeah, and life. No, I have nothing from Dave. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, this is one of the reasons I love the solo episodes, because we go the direction that based off where your life is at. Your Rosie's was a completely different episode, and versus Jamie. So like, I'm really excited to hear everyone else's, because it's your perspective and everything is, I think it definitely hits the spectrum of educational and empowering, because it's like, man, this is stuff that I don't think it would never. Maybe it might be. I don't listen to many other dance podcasts, but I just think people need to hear this, like the importance of self-work.
Yeah.
All right. So you ready for some rapid fire questions?
Sure.
Okay. So I'm gonna drop like 10 on you.
Okay.
So, okay. What is one of your weird quirks?
I have to get up early in the morning or I don't feel good about myself.
Yo. I used to feel that way, like pre-Rona. Like,
yeah.
I used to wake up at 3:30.
Yeah, well, okay, I'm not that early. Like, I would say pre-Rona was a 5 a.m. deal, or 5:30, but now it's like 6:30.
Yeah, I've really relaxed on myself, and it took a while to be like, there's no need to rush.
Yeah.
The reason I woke up at 3:30 was because I had to, at 3:00 in the afternoon, I pick up my son and I'm in dad mode.
Oh, so you had to get everything else done before that.
Yeah, but now that he's with his mom and he's being homeschooled practically, there's no need for me to rush to wake up. And yeah, so it's like, yeah. Okay. If you could be any animal, what would it be and why?
I would be a panther, because panthers are agile and they're super intuitive and they're super smart and super fast and they're really, really strong.
What is your favorite memory?
My favorite memory? I mean, I'm going to go with something recent, actually. This year, I really felt like I had it all together, which is a weird thing to say. Like, I felt like I had my whole life together. I was in another dance troupe, and New Year's Eve, we performed, and we had a gig at a big banquet hall thing, and I was standing on the stage, and there was a portion of it that was freestyle of go-go dancing. We were just just moving our arms around, just dancing, and then just part of the party. And it was midnight, and it was a countdown, and I just felt like, wow, I'm on stage on New Year's Eve. It's the countdown right now. I'm getting paid. I have these dance companies for this year, and I have all these things happening and all my travels. And I was like, this year is going to be amazing. COVID.
We all thought.
I mean, I would say that was the most recent amazing moment. I was on that stage at the countdown for the 2020, and I felt like I had everything I want in my life.
That feels like a movie-like moment. When everything is happening and everything just slows down.
Yeah.
And then cue dramatic music.
10, 9, 8.
I can see it.
And I was dancing. I was like, this year's going to be amazing.
Man, we all had hopes for this year.
Yeah.
Let's see. I just had it. What's the song you play often?
I don't know if you would know it. It's do you know an artist called Odessa?
Yes.
Yeah? So It's Only. Yeah, I actually have it on my phone right now. It's Only is one of my favorite songs.
Oh, nice.
It reminds me of actually the jungle in Bali. It just makes me think about being out there in the jungle.
Saving those trees. What would you be doing if you weren't doing what you were doing? That's so redundant.
I can't answer that question. I'm doing exactly what I want to be doing. But I think if I wasn't, I think I might be a full-time dancer. I think I would love, if I wasn't doing this, I'd love to be 100% dancing. Well, and singing. I want to sing. I don't have time to do that. So I would be a full-time dancer and singer. That's what I would be doing. Yeah.
Wow. Honestly, if I wasn't a dancer, I would have probably pursued singing as well.
Yeah.
Because as probably a folk singer.
What?
Yeah.
Folk singer?
I like folk. Not a lot of people know, but I like folk music. So.
All right. Okay.
So, yeah. What would you do on Mars for fun?
Take pictures. Have like a Coachella dance concert.
Oh, that'd be cool. No. What is your biggest addiction?
Right now, my biggest addiction is Instagram because I'm putting out all of my Instagram posts on Instagram. It's actually a problem because I've never had this problem before. I never was addicted to social media, and now I'm actually in COVID. I've been looking at Instagram every single day, multiple times a day. I'm like, what is happening?
It's a dangerous addiction. It's good and bad. It's a good and bad thing.
Yeah.
Like, the negative where it could be like, or it affects your mindset. The other one's like your business, which is like what I love that you're doing. What's your favorite sport to watch?
Basketball.
Really?
Yeah.
You're into basketball?
I know, right? I'm from Cleveland, okay, and I lived in San Francisco the entire time that the Cavs and the Warriors were battling each other, like for the playoffs. So I was actually working at Equinox in downtown San Francisco, which had a basketball court, which is where the Cavs would come into town and practice. So I saw them all. Yeah, I would see LeBron, I would see these guys, and they were practicing the basketball court, and then they were training throughout the gym. So I was walking around, I was like, oh,
Dang. So is the Cavs your team?
Actually,
or you're just like a LeBron fan?
I'm a LeBron fan, and I was rooting for the Warriors. I spent so much time in San Francisco that I
became a Warriors fan. Are you still a Warriors fan?
I'm still a Warriors fan. I love Steph Curry, and I don't know. I love the spirit in San Francisco that was happening through all that, and I don't know.
I think I mean, in case you guys didn't know, this is dance and other stuff. Or is the common things we talk about. Sports, I automatically assume not a lot of dancers
into sports
are into that much sports unless I get a vibe from them. And
you don't get that vibe from me.
I definitely don't get that vibe from you at all. I'm like, what, yo? So we can nerd out about basketball. That's so cool. That's badass. So, it's a shame you're a Warriors fan.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, there was so many. I actually knew someone who worked for the Warriors, on staff for their sales team or something, and so I got to go to the Warriors stadium. So I used to go out there and hang out at their offices, and then go hang out on the basketball court. I got to go down and
Dang.
the Warriors basketball court. So I kind of got heavily influenced by people in the Bay Area.
I mean, if anything, I was glad that because I was a LeBron hater at the time. I was like, at first it was don't let LeBron win, and then I was like, all right, let Cleveland have a championship. At least one, and then I saw that Warriors was just stacked. I'm like, damn, we need to stop the Warriors. Super talented. Yeah, because I for a while I was calling them and I'm they were the Avengers, and then LeBron was Thanos, because the Warriors had a super team.
They did have a super team. Yeah, I mean the Cavs was all LeBron.
Yeah, it was.
He was carrying the whole team. The difference, teamwork, man.
Yeah,
solid group.
Dude, a lot of my leadership philosophy came from Phil Jackson.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because when I was trying to figure out my own style of leadership with my competitive crew, I was like, how do we create a winning mentality, or even more winning culture? Mm-hmm. I was like, why not Phil Jackson?
Yeah.
Worked with Michael Jordan, one of the most talented people, probably had a big ego as well, and then get all these talented people to work together and repeat so many times.
Yeah.
So, and then it's a philosophy that I took to fan biz, and I would like to take into what do you call it? Into Temper Tantrum, which is one of the reasons I value company culture a lot. I goof off because it's part of who I am, and I like measuring culture by the amount of laughter there is.
Oh, wow. We definitely have that in temper tantrums. We definitely have that.
Because it's like, if no one's laughing, are they having fun?
Yeah.
You know, like, obviously we take our work seriously, but like, if there's no freedom to shoot the shit, be comfortable with each other, then I feel like then there is like a disconnect.
Yeah.
Or lack of comfort. Yeah. All right, so let's get back to wow. I'm like all over the place with this podcast, going from dance to self-healing
self-healing
to
and
basketball.
Run.
Oh, cool. All right. Are you oh no, you answered that already. Never mind. You're
I'm a morning person.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that doesn't count. Oh, this was a fun. This is an interview
I was not
question.
always though. I was not always a morning person. Yeah, I was not taking care of myself for a long period of time, and I trained myself to be a morning person. I want to do my yoga in the morning and take better care of myself.
Me too. Like, what was the switch for that? Like I need to just do this.
The switch was drinking. The switch was being out with too many dancers and people in entertainment and out in clubs, and everyone was just drinking. Everyone was like, there was like,
that's true.
When you're in nightlife and you're in that whole world, like people are drinking, and I got off the.
That's true, and dancers have a tendency to hang out late, so, and go out. All right, so I'm not going to count that question. So, but here's one. What would you, if you won $1 million? What would you do?
I would start a healing center for women somewhere in the world, like maybe in Bali or Thailand, and connect it to the Middle East, and create a whole system. Actually, I would probably need to start something like that online. But yeah, I would invest my money into something like that.
That's cool. That's actually an interview question I do with people.
Oh,
like
really?
when I'm interviewing for hires, because it tells me immediately their values.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
Like, what would your superhero powers be?
My superhero powers. I would love to be able to shapeshift and like move by snapping my finger from like one place to another. Be there.
That's like, useful in LA.
Be like, well, tonight I have to go to San Francisco. Boom. And then just go to San Francisco and be with my friends up there.
Dude, imagine how many gigs you can just book like that.
Yeah. And then you could just be everywhere all the time. Yeah.
Like, oh, I got a gig in Bali tomorrow morning.
Let's go. Yeah.
That's a great power, yeah. Last rapid fire question. What is the thing you're most afraid of?
I think what I'm most afraid of is being single for the rest of my life because I like my life too much. I get like...
You want someone fucking it up?
Yeah.
Like, babe, like, we're going to go get dinner. I want cuddles. Like, no, bitch, I'm working right now.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like people ask me, they're like, how come you're single? And I'm like, because I don't have time and I don't put focus on it. And like having a boyfriend would take me away from like a belly dance gig or performing with you guys at Universal Studios or, like these are my Saturday nights. Like this is, so I am afraid of being single for the rest of my life.
I mean, it's definitely, I definitely felt that way before I got into my recent relationship. Like it could start, especially when I think in the earlier stages of my company, and I was going super like 12-hour days. It's like I think people like us who work for ourselves are hyper aware of how valuable our time is. Mm-hmm. Because we don't clock in, clock out. We're like, what we do with our time really matters because it could be it's the essential brick that continues building our quote unquote working empire.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think you have to find someone that's going to work in sync with your life.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's I'm sure there'll be someone that balances you out. I mean, I was hesitant with my girlfriend because I was like, damn, I gotta like, time, mm-hmm. Like, but then she became more of like the emotional support that I don't have, like that, and someone who can be patient with me when I'm like having a rough day. Like with especially dealing with clients who are just who don't get the creative process and are trying to rush things. Yeah, and then it's nice, and I think it's good to be patient about that. Yeah. All right, you ready for the last question?
Yeah.
All right. What is your social security number? Pen and paper, folks. Pen and paper. Get ready. No, what do you want people to say about you when you're gone?
Oh, I want them to say that she changed my life. She affected my life in some really powerful way. She influenced me to follow my dreams. Yeah.
It's good. You like how I went from like super fun to like deep. to really keep you on your toes.
I like that. Yeah, you're a good interviewer.
Thank you. I mean, I told you like a lot of this is like organic, and I get really curious. So I just go based off like, all right, let's ask about this. So
yeah.
But yeah, that's it. Where can people find you online to connect with you, with whether as a dancer or a healer or a magician or a mage or a fellow basketball fan
or a Warriors fan? Everyone assumes that folks I'm from Cleveland, I have to be a Cavs fan.
The whole time you were saying that, I was like, I wonder if she likes the Cavs.
Yeah. Well, okay, so my Instagram for dance is Urban Priestess, at the Urban Priestess, and the Instagram for my business is Embodied by Safyra, so at Embodied by Safyra. And Embodied by Safyra has the links to my website and all that stuff.
Dope. So everything she just mentioned is going to be in the description down below with the links. Make sure you give her a follow, show her some love, and I really encourage you guys, if you are curious about doing some of that self work, which I think is essential to get towards any next level in your life, I would suggest giving Safyra a call, connect with her. I haven't done any work directly with Safyra, but I've done some of the self-work myself through meditation, through therapy, all this other stuff. As adults, we feel there's this projection that we have to have it figured out. And in reality, it's like, I think life is a constant unveiling and learning and continuing to improve ourselves. So connect with her. I really think it's something powerful, and give her a follow. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you guys in the next episode of Throwing Tantrums or Move, Groove, Grow podcast, depending on where I put this. And I appreciate you guys for listening. Have a great day, life, month, week, year, 2020, 21, 23, whenever you're listening to this. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.